All right, everybody, before we dive into today's episode, we have some exciting news to share.
That's right. The Casting Faith podcast has officially partnered with
First Form,
your go-to for the best energy drinks, greens, protein bars, beef sticks, and much more to fuel your fitness and wellness journey.
Whether you're hitting the gym or heading out on the water or just trying to feel better every day, First Form has you covered. It doesn't matter if you're keto, if you're vegan, whatever diet you're on, they have you covered. Think premium protein products, top tier vitamins, and even these delicious energy drinks that fuel this podcast.
Here's the best part. When you shop through the link in our bio, you're not just investing in your health, you're helping the Casting Faith podcast and supporting us to bring you more content.
So go ahead and check it out. Grab what you need because they have you covered, and let's tackle this faith, fitness, wellness journey. Whatever you're on, this is the stuff that will fuel you. And let's dive into today's episode.
Like, how many could survive? Like, here's the deal. There's 100 men, and they have reels of, like, AI-generated video of this, of what it might look like if 100 average dudes.
Yeah.
How many of them would it take to take down a full-grown silverback gorilla? And
I just need one guy. That's either Nick Roberts or Chuck Norris.
Nick Roberts. Listen, if Fred Parrott and Nick Roberts are in the room with me and those 100 men, goodness. I feel like we're in okay shape. Like, we have a shot.
That's hilarious.
Fred's a beast. Yeah. So
I challenge you as a believer, let that power get out.
Blind people received their sight. People have been carried in. We're healed. Nobody touched them. Nobody laid a hand on them. We just praised the Lord and spoke the word of faith, and God began to heal the people.
Here's a fish.
Yeah, let's go!
Oh my gosh, he's a big.
He landed inside.
He kept me from skunk. Look how massive this is.
The Casting Faith podcast.
Fish on.
all right, everybody, welcome back to the Casting Faith podcast. And we have some music here. Maybe. Oh, there it is. We have a very special guest in studio today, Brother Nick Roberts, a close friend of mine. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, guys.
What's up, dude?
Thanks for having me.
Yes.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for being here. Making
Absolutely.
the long drive from the CLE.
Yes, sir.
The land from the Cleveland.
The land.
Which isn't that far. I mean, is it? How was it? How was the ride?
I think it was straight. It was easy. It was smooth, but I think it's about an hour.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
With the two different.
With
two different addresses.
I think it's about an hour.
Whoops. It turns out you should probably give your guest the right address, and that would help. But
yeah,
I could have put it in wrong. So
it's my
typically the address is a important factor.
Yeah. Well, hey, I'm trying.
But I made it after I sped by waving.
Hey, Nick, see ya. We're so glad you came in.
Thanks for having me, guys. It's an honor to be here.
Yeah, dude. We're so happy for you to be here. Nick is the Section 1 leader of Ohio Youth, and he served in excellence in that capacity.
Thank you.
Super happy that you're in that role, and you do a great job for our section. So we appreciate you.
Absolutely.
Also youth pastor.
Yes.
In Cleveland, Church of Pentecost.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
You guys just got a new building or
CFP?
something, yeah?
Yeah, dude. Tell us about that.
Yeah,
Wow.
God bless
I just
us
saw
with
that recently, and I'm just
Dude,
mind
it's
blown
awesome.
that happened.
Yeah. We're super excited. It was a blessing. We've been looking for a while, and it's hard to find land or a big enough building in Cleveland.
Yeah.
For any kind of affordable price. But God opened the door and made a way. It was a miracle how it happened. We got it for almost half price.
Wow.
So it was real exciting. But we just had our dedication service last week, and we're in plans working with an architect for an addition. So
Yeah, where are you at? So in case any listeners are up in Cleveland.
we are 4676, I believe.
Make sure it's the right address.
I don't have my phone on me.
They showed to the First Baptist Church.
I think it's 4676 West 11th in Cleveland, Ohio. So if you're ever in the city, stop on by. We'd love to have you.
Yeah. Beautiful building. We got to be there for Section 1 meetings, and man, I'm so happy.
Wow, you guys have been in for a while then.
We had our first service in December.
Oh wow,
So
nice.
a little while, yeah.
I'm so far behind in relevant topics.
No, there's a lot going on.
Yeah. A lot of moving parts.
So did you guys sell the old building?
We
or
are in
keeping
that
it?
process now.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have like 10 different groups that are interested. So we're excited. And we have both buildings debt free.
Wow.
So that's a huge testimony.
Because God's in it.
Yes.
That's awesome, man.
That's how you know.
That's how you know. Debt free. What's that? That's
Yeah, Dave Ramsey would be happy. He would love to visit our church.
Dave doesn't like me right now.
Absolutely buy another building if you could pay cash for it.
Yeah.
So,
Awesome.
That's awesome. It's been a long time coming.
yeah, we've been looking for a couple years.
Yeah.
So,
Hey, the one time I've been to the old building a couple times, but when I go there, I was so scared.
yeah, we've had some people tell us, yeah, we won't be back. Like from the organization, like from other churches that came for an event, and they're like, yeah, that was nice, but yeah, we're not coming back there.
It was a rough neighborhood. Right?
Yeah. We're inner city,
right down the road from where those girls were kidnapped and stuff like that.
Yeah, we don't talk about that.
We don't talk about no Bruno here.
We were actually working on the church in the basement of the church when that happened, and you see the FBI helicopter and all that.
Wow.
And so we ran down like, what in the world is going on?
That's crazy.
Crazy. And that happens everywhere.
Yeah.
But that's crazy that famous story happened.
So we're in a nicer neighborhood now.
Yes.
Well, praise God.
Yeah.
Yes. It's
People like it.
It's beautiful, man. And I smile every time we go by because it's like, man, every time I get a chance to come to that area,
Yeah.
like, look how far God has taken
Man,
Cleveland.
it's been a
And
blessing.
That's awesome. And couldn't happen to greater people. And so, dude, we're so happy you're here. Camp season is upon us.
Yeah.
And so Nick and I have been friends since I was probably 12 years old.
Yeah. Since I don't remember not being
Yeah.
friends.
We went to camp together.
Yeah.
So it's weird
Because you both are old.
hey, it's old mentality, but 12 is a long time ago.
Yeah.
And we went to junior high and senior high camp together all those years. One of my close friends from camp, and it's cool and unique because we went from being campers to the dorm dads of the Alamo.
Yeah.
And dude, I will say this: you probably don't have to be in the trenches, but you are, and I respect that, man. That's so cool. Like all of these kids, their whole camp experience, especially because in the Alamo.
Yeah.
If you're listening and you've camped in the Alamo, you know the Alamo. Yeah. And it's this culture, and it's incredible, and it's awesome, and it is very unique because of you. And it's cool.
It goes back to A-Train.
No,
that culture's been set for a while, and I just am blessed to have the opportunity to be in there. But no, it's a brotherhood. It really is.
Yeah. So I've had one experience at Ohio camp, and it was serving under you as the head dorm father. But I knew it was immediately different from West Virginia camps. The moment you walked in and just shouted, "Hey-o!" and the whole room was just like, "Hey-o!"
Yeah.
It was like he didn't say a word to anybody. It was just like instant. It was just like, wow.
That needs to be a t-shirt.
My wife and I have talked about that because my son does it.
That's
he'll be like, we'll be at youth night. I do it at youth night too.
Yeah.
Whenever you need to get somebody's attention, you just, "Hey, yo." So my son was coming and he'll yell it. And people will like get it back, and he loves it.
That's awesome.
And was that a you thing? I can't remember because I remember us maybe saying that when we were kids or something similar.
Yeah, I don't know. I know we've done it in our youth group for a long time, and so it's just always worked.
Yeah. How to get 180 junior high dorm kids to listen to you? Just that word, those two words.
So that was the wildest thing to me. So just an enormous amount of kids in one building. That was from all over the state and even out of state, but just how loud it was. And Nick just comes in with it, and instantly you could hear a pin drop. And I was just like, whoa, this dude is in charge.
He just walks in and commands respect immediately.
It's just fun to say.
It's like Chuck Norris just walked in.
No, but you have that energy about you where it's not intimidating, but it's welcoming. And all of these kids, man, it's so cool.
Yeah. I can't wait till my son is able to be under Nick.
Man,
great.
How old is he?
He's 11.
Oh yeah.
We're just waiting on maybe this year, but probably not.
Yeah.
But should definitely be there next year.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
No, there's some really great kids there. They're a lot of fun.
Yeah.
They're a lot of fun.
So you've been doing this how many years consecutively? Because I've done the last, I think 3 or 4 with you for junior high. So he don't even just like do one. He does like 2 every year. And I try to hang in there every year. I'm like, he's got to have somebody that's going to be there with him.
Yeah.
So he's not alone.
No, you've been clutch.
And I'm like,
You've been
I'm
a
going to
bro
be
for
there.
real.
I'm going to try to make it. And
Are you coming back both weeks?
I am.
Let's go. I thought this was saying like I'm out. I was like, no.
I will not be there.
No.
Come on, John.
Come back.
Yeah.
Could step
I'm
into
not
the
as
web.
important as this
please.
guy.
No, I am the least of these. But dude, you take the time 2 weeks out of the year, probably spend your vacation time. I know because I'm right there with you. But you've done this for years now.
Yeah, I don't even remember how long now. Probably, I want to say like 14 years
Yeah,
Wow.
or so.
something like that. So when I say the legend Nick Miller, or not Nick Miller, I don't know why I say Nick Miller.
Whoa, who's that?
Nick
John Miller.
Nick Roberts. I know I'm getting the twins mixed up. When I say the legend Nick Roberts, and I when I say that, it's because you've established yourself as, you know, and Pete was that too. Pete Gardner was
Pete
that.
and A-Train did it for years. Pete went even further.
Yeah, they were like staples of the camp community, and you've kind of just put yourself right in there. And it's out of humility. You can sense too. It's like out of humility. And so, dude, I'm thankful for it. You make Ohio camps great.
Man, I appreciate it.
Not
There's a lot
everybody
of-
sees it either, because it's like you're in the trenches.
Yeah.
Like, really.
We have a great team. We have
Yeah.
a great team that's been doing it for a while. And Ohio Camp's amazing. If you haven't been, you need to come check us out. But
For sure.
you know, it was a blessing in my life. It helped form me in a lot of ways. And so I'm thankful for it. And so I just want to give back, you know, and try to do anything I can to be a blessing. And, you know, my kids eventually are going to be able to go there. And, you know, I'm blessed to have the opportunity to bring her with us to the campgrounds. And so she's already asking, like, is camp coming around soon?
That's
awesome.
You know, and so I want to do whatever I can to help.
It's cool because my oldest is getting there. Next year is her first year.
Wow.
And I'm like, oh, like that's crazy. And our kids will camp together, which
Yeah.
is wild. That's so
Yeah.
crazy. But
It's nuts.
And then
So-
they'll lead together.
yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe they'll take over the door. The
Could be
girls'
the
dorm.
Jamie.
yeah. But
Shout out to Jamie. She's been there longer than
Jamie
she
Butzer.
supervised me. She's still there.
Yeah,
So
she's still doing the thing.
she's the legend of the campground.
Yeah, man. But what's the craziest thing you've seen in the Alamo that you
That I
can
can
talk
say.
about? That you can say?
Um,
Because I got a few that I'm like, yeah, that was.
yeah,
that was
I don't know if
pretty
you remember
nuts.
when, I don't know if we want to name names, but there was a pillow fight that broke out when we were campers and the kid got knocked out. Just laid out right in front
Just
of the door.
out cold.
That was the last pillow fight I ever got to witness.
Yeah. We weren't in charge then.
No, we were campers.
Yeah.
My youth president in West Virginia was Billy Cole's grandson, Anthony Moss.
Really?
He told us to pillow fight.
Oh man.
So we had a
Yeah.
whole room.
We
stacked up mattresses
that
against
was
the wall and on the floor.
2020 era.
Yeah.
It was wild.
When they were allowed.
It was scary. I was afraid to go in that
These
room.
kids are this generation's built different. They're like
Yeah.
mixing stuff. Like the pranks get out of hand.
Yeah.
Like real quick.
They don't know where the line is.
Yeah, they can't. That's why we're here.
Yeah. Yeah. We're just here to help. Corral them. Like,
But I remember this kid. We call him the Hustler Kid.
oh yeah.
Remember Hustler Kid?
Yes.
This was a couple years ago.
fantastic.
My guy comes in, and you know, normally girls bring 14 suitcases to camp, right? Well, this kid comes in loaded up, multiple suitcases. I'm like, dude, you know, it's like only a week. You got a lot going on here.
Yeah, he had like 4.
Yeah, he had like 4 full giant man-sized suitcases, and we're like, okay. And all of a sudden, we're hanging out, and we start seeing like energy drinks pop up.
Yeah.
And we're not selling those. And then we see
At
candy
camp,
bars.
You don't want energy drinks.
No. And they weren't forced for him, so you know.
Yeah.
But it was like all of a sudden we started seeing them all over the place, and we come to find out this kid had brought like his whole Sam's Club membership haul
Yeah.
of
Oh, my
candy
word.
and chips and energy drink.
He had a whole
and
corner
pop.
store.
And in 2 days, the dude raised like $350 in 2 days of camp
crazy.
before we caught him.
It was
crazy.
nuts. And then when we caught him, it was like, it's for She's for Christ.
Yeah.
Remove the mission.
I mean, but respect the hustle, I guess. But like,
We had to confiscate some energy drinks.
yeah,
That is awesome.
I
And
remember-
then where did they end up?
you know where they ended up.
They call it dad tax, right? Yeah. Like a supervisor tax.
Dorm
Yep.
dad tax.
But then like the next year or 2 years later, another kid,
Yep.
he started too.
Started
So now we had
another
like 2 corner stores.
Yep.
Hey,
Yep.
this is going to air before camp, so
Awesome.
you might have
kids
some
don't
more.
do that.
Don't do that. And
We
if
will
you do, we
confiscate
want 10% for Alamo renovations.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's camp. Camp is just one of those things, and maybe you can talk to a little bit about your testimony from camp. You know, like growing up in the Ohio district. You know, what is that? What has that meant for you? You know, not just as a youth or even as a dorm dad, but what does it mean to you as a person now? Like looking back on our whole life, what is it meant for you?
Yeah. No, like I said, it's helped, shape who I am. You know, a lot, obviously when you go to a church camp, you're going to have a lot of God moments.
Mm-hmm.
I got the Holy Ghost at camp, at family camp actually. So it wasn't the kids or youth, but it was a Wednesday night. I believe Jerry Jones was preaching. Don't remember the sermon title, but it was right by the pole, right in the center.
Nice.
But so I got the Holy Ghost there. But also, many life changing services, moments in the altar, where God spoke to me and shifted the path I was taking. So you have the God moments, but also the relationships like we talked about. Our friendship was, we're in the same section, so we've seen each other a lot, at rallies, but we spent weeks together. I don't remember. Did you ever work? Did you work? You worked
did.
some.
I worked a couple. I got married and was like,
Well, I mean, even like when you were like a team.
oh yeah.
like
So I worked
the kitchen.
I
or
worked
dining
concession.
hall, concession.
Yeah, I worked concession under Sister Butts.
Yeah.
And it was fun. That was a
Yeah.
fun gig. But my first year working and going into the pit, it was like a culture shock because I was used to dorm life, and I was like, I was still a kid. You know, I was working and still camping. I was like, we can go wherever we want. It was so weird. Like I wasn't used to the freedom.
And the pit was worse than Alamo. So
yeah. Oh yes.
But a lot of my best friendships, were people I met at camp. To this day.
Yeah.
And so, I'm thankful for the God moments. Thankful for the lifelong friendships that it's formed. And so, like, excuse me. And that's why I said, I wanted to be able to give back and help set that environment. Continue that. Carry the torch, and my kids be able to experience that. And they already are now, right? They're building friendships when we're out there. They're waiting to see their friends. They're excited about it. So
yeah, those connections mean so much.
Yeah.
And they're like a lifetime thing. And we may not chat every week, but like, come youth rally where I see it's like we, some friends you don't get to talk to all the time.
Yeah.
Sometimes some friends you don't get to spend all the time with, but when you get together, it's like nothing happened, nothing changed.
Pick up right
where you left off. Yeah. And so that's how like a lot of those camp relationships are.
Yeah.
Like I know I'm going to roll up to the Alamo. I'm going to see all the guys,
Yeah.
And Fred talked about it when he was on. He does Explorer Camp more now because that's where his kids are.
Yeah.
And they got like a Uncrustables crew of people. Like I randomly texted you guys in like December, like our whole group chat. And I was like, hey, can somebody let me in the dorm?
Yeah.
And it's like, hey, we all exist outside of camp.
Yeah.
But like, and we're so close. I'm like, why don't we hang out more?
Seriously.
But it's like, but it doesn't, some people you just don't get together with all the time, but it's like nothing changed. You pick up right where you left off.
Yeah.
And so it's cool that those are meaningful relationships.
Yeah.
And that's a big part of what Ohio camps are about. Of course, it's the God moments and stuff like that, but also those relationships. It's like half the reason to send your kids to camp, is to build good, godly relationships.
Yeah. And, our district is blessed with so many great ministers and men of God, men and women of God. And you're able to connect with them as well when you're at camp. and the speakers that come through. So just different conversations that you have. It might not be an altar moment, and it might not be a lifelong friendship, but it might just be a short moment, a short conversation with somebody that can really change your thinking, and God can use them to speak a word into your life.
Yeah.
And those have been a blessing.
And
as well.
man, like for me personally, I don't remember what year this was, but I remember it was like 2:30 in the morning. We're like rolling around with flashlights, trying to get everybody to sleep. They're still going crazy. Hustler Kid gave out 13 energy drinks, and we're trying to get them corralled back down. And it was just one of those nights. It was probably a Thursday. They weren't sleeping.
Yeah.
And it was like, this is the long night. This is where
Yeah.
we're getting an hour and a half of sleep, and that's where we're going to be. And then it was right when everybody was calming down. Everybody was done with their shenanigans. And I sat in the chair, and I don't know if it's because I was tired, but I was vulnerable to you. And I was talking you through this transition moment in my life. Like, dude, I don't know am I doing something wrong? And I don't even know if you remember this conversation, but I'm like, I don't know if I'm like, should I be doing this or that? And it was one of those things where I was at a transition moment, and your words of encouragement in that time really meant a lot to me. And it set the path to where like a year later, it all came to pass. Like everything that I was working towards manifested in that moment. And I needed those words of encouragement at 3:00 in the morning on a Thursday night with no sleep. And so if I had to pin you with any like tagline, it would be you're an encourager.
Man, I appreciate that.
And man, it means so much. And I wrote a whole book on it, on encouragement.
Yeah.
And you're one of those people. You're like Barnabas. You're a son of encouragement. And you're good people, man. And I'm thankful, so thankful for that relationship, because it's gotten me through some times, even in our youth too.
Yeah.
Like I had some conversations with you back then, and it was 3 a.m. We're doing the shenanigans.
Yeah.
And we're like, man, we're the ones causing the chaos. And hey, man, those deep, bunk conversations at church camp, man, those were some solid moments for me. And
thanks for sharing that, man. That's encouraging to me.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And so that carries you through. And those junior hires and those senior high students, they get that same nick too. And in the other, I'm not just like shouting your praises, but like even the other dorm dads, the people who sacrifice their time and come and connect with these students and give those encouraging words. Yeah. It means so much, Yeah.
Yeah. We have such a great team, and it makes camp fun.
Yeah.
It's like you said, it's long, it's grueling sometimes, but when you have such a great team that you're doing it with, that makes it so much easier. And then also just, seeing the impact it has on the students, obviously, that's the biggest motivation. But, I remember, one of the kids who didn't like the shower as much on like Thursday or Friday, wanted to play one of the games, and his shoes were just ripped and he couldn't. And like Donald ran in and just grabbed a pair of shoes, like, here, use these, and so such great people there. And it really, it's amazing to watch, so many people be so about the kids, and give of their time. You're out there 2 weeks without your family, that's hard. Yeah. That's hard, especially you're a good dad, you care. Yeah. And so, but you come and you sacrifice and you give, and you don't have to, we don't get anything from it, technically. But we have a great team. It's a blessing.
And you get so much out of it. Too. Like I always tell my wife, and she's always on board. I'm not like, I'm going.
Yeah, no, she's a team player.
She's always on board. And I always tell her, I always come back better. It's not for me at all. Yeah. But like that separation and that time where you're pouring out so much while simultaneously you're getting filled with those encouraging moments, with the atmosphere of being shut off from technology, and with the atmosphere of, good apostolic preaching and altar call moment. You get just as much as the students do. Yeah. It's not about us, but like as you're pouring out, you're getting filled. Yeah. And it's a unique thing. Like normally you pour out and you're like, I need a break. I need to take time. I need to refill. I need to get back to, base. But for me, I always come back better. Yeah. Like I always gain from it. There's never really a loss. For doing it.
We're exhausted in body, but encouraged in spirit.
Yeah. I might get sick a time or two, after 2 weeks of it, but it's always worth it, Yeah.
Take your aminos and
first form.
Gear.
Yeah. They do have this clear protein that I'm gonna bring this year. It's solid. mixes like Gatorade,
Oh, sweet.
so it's no lactose or anything like
Yeah.
that. It's 22 grams of protein, 90 calories, and it's sponsored. So
Yeah.
we're
So
taking
get
care
yours.
of. Yeah.
Camp staff, get it early.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, man, it's a big part of, I know it's a big part of who you are. It's spent in the Ohio Buckeye Lake campgrounds. And
I love it. I love it.
Yeah. We have some exciting news. We have officially partnered with,
Backbone Coffee.
that's right, Casting Faith, Backbone Coffee, partnering together to bring good coffee to your morning routine.
Whether you're out on the water or
In everyday life,
working the graveyard shift,
Backbone Coffee is for you.
it is. Try it out. It's awesome. Check the link in the description.
But what's some we want to get to know you a little bit more outside of camp too. What if you could take us back? What's the earliest moment you have feeling the call of God on your life? When did your relationship with God get real? Because we all of us grew up in church for the most part. We grew up in church, and we've talked about it on other episodes when it got real for us. When did our relationship with God really become a relationship with God and not just, hey, you're coming to church,
Yeah.
And you're a pastor's kid, so you have a unique situation where you really never had a choice, but at some point it was your choice.
Yeah.
Could you take us back to those moments?
Yeah. So, as you said, I think I just broke the rule of podcasting. I was paused for too long.
You're good.
That's good.
Raised in church, and if I'm going to take you back, we lived kind of more in a rural area, and a lot of my family, went to the church that we went to, and so when God called, my dad to pastor in Cleveland, I was 6, just turned 6.
Yeah.
And I remember vividly, still to this day, we didn't really go to Cleveland much. I'd been there 2 or 3 times, maybe. About the radio, or it's Cleveland radio stations. And so you hear the news, and it's the news doesn't report anything good. It's someone, so-and-so died, so-and-so shot, whatever. Mm-hmm. And so that was my little 6-year-old self's understanding of Cleveland. Yeah. And so I remember when they called us in on a Sunday night, I was like, hey, God called us to Cleveland, we're going to move into Cleveland. And I remember me and my brother were just what? We lost it. And I remember literally telling my parents, we can't, we're going to die. We're going to die. Literally said that. And now I look back as a father and I'm like, man, that had to be tough,
yeah.
For my parents to deal with. But now you couldn't drag me from there.
Yeah.
I love Cleveland. I'm so thankful God called us there. And so, I going with what I knew, and that was my life, right? Mm-hmm. But I remember in my early teen years, a lot of buddies were doing, the people in the church, buddies in the church and stuff, and some friends were, you're starting to make kind of your own more decisions. You have a little more freedom, right? So, so I had an opportunity. Had plenty of opportunities to do foolishness, but seeing the kind of the paths they were taking and the choices they were making, and I just had a me and God time, and what did I want? What was I going to do with my time? What was I going to be? What were the choices I was going to make? And God just kind of impressed on me I can seize this time. I can go out and date around like they were doing, or do different things, whatever, right? Get caught up in sports, whatever. And I just felt God put in my heart to seize the day, right? And so I just started pouring myself into learning and growing as a Christian, but also as a person. And so that was kind of the first, okay, I'm gonna do this, you know. And then, you obviously, whenever you graduate and you're now a man, right? You're a man and you can do whatever you want. We had some close people I was close to in the church, and they fell away from God. And it really, it really hit the church hard.
Yeah.
And they were really integral into the church. And so, some people, that rocked them and they fell away, but most others were fine. But, I just had one of those moments okay, now I can do whatever I want. I can afford to move out. I can do, anything I wanted to do. Is this what I want? Is this me, or have I been doing this off my parents the whole time?
Mm-hmm.
I just had another one of those just checkpoints.
Yeah.
And that, just, I dove in, with everything. It was, no, this is me. This is who I am. This is what I want.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. And it's sad sometimes you have to go through that horrible, ship sinking moment to find out who you are.
Yeah.
But I'm glad you dove in, and
me too.
And I'm sure the Church of Cleveland is super happy that you did too,
Yeah.
So you kind of during that time pretty quickly got launched into ministry too, huh?
Yeah.
Like as you were diving in, you started. I mean, you've always been a part of ministry, but
yeah.
When did the call of God to be a youth pastor, a preacher, somebody who's a disciple, an encourager, when did this calling really take root? Was it during that time of deep diving or transition?
So, great question. I love this topic because, it's so different for everybody, but what we always hear is, the call of God. And I was in the altar at a camp and God said, you're going to be a missionary or, whatever it may be, whatever the call was, you're gonna be a pastor, you're going to be this or that. I never had one of those moments. And for the longest, I was like, what is wrong with me? Like, am I a dirty sinner? You know what I mean? Like, what is going on? Like, all my buddies like, oh, God called me to this, God called me to that. And so, they had their Samuel moments or their, their Moses fiery, bush moment, right? And this was, God called me to go and deliver Egypt. And I never really had that. And so I always kind of explain it or share, when I share the story, how I share it is I have more of an Abraham experience where God said, hey, come with me, follow me. I'm going to show you where you're going to go.
Wow.
It wasn't clear. There wasn't, hey, Nick, you're going to be this. Hey, Nick, you're going to be that. But hey, walk with me and I'll show you. And so, I believe that began when I was little. I say this all the time. I believe it with all my heart. When I went and got licensed, that's one of the things I said, when I was there speaking to the ministers is I don't believe God called my dad to Cleveland. He called our family to Cleveland. Our family was called to Cleveland, to that mission field. I was a part of that call.
Yeah.
And so, throughout the way, it's just been, hey, walk with me and hey, now do this.
Yeah.
And this door is opened, do that.
That's awesome because right at that integral moment of you deciding to live for God and you're asking the question, who am I? Is this me or is this my family?
Yeah.
And you decide to dive in, God says, walk with me.
Yeah.
And that's what has led you through every ministry moment is just continuing to just walk with him.
Yep. And he'll open doors and whatever he leads me into, from season to season is, hey, now you need to drum for a while. You need to this for a while. Wherever, what's that scripture? Wherever you find the do, put your hand, do it with all of your might. And so, I never received a clear, Nick, you're going to this. You're a missionary. Go. Or I'm going to send you as a missionary when you're older or anything. No, it was just follow me.
Yeah.
It's really awesome.
Yeah, it's incredible.
Really awesome.
That's awesome, man. And it's so true. And, God also says, trust with a little, he'll give you a lot more, you know, responsibility. And we learned that to be true just from walking.
Yeah.
And that's going to help somebody, there's probably people listening who are like in that same boat where they're like, man, what am I supposed to do?
Yeah.
I was there. A couple of years ago at 3:00 in the morning, like, what am I really supposed to do? Like, I feel like I'm called to these things. I had one of those moments at a Ohio youth camp where God said, this is what you're going to do. And I said, no.
Yeah.
I don't want, I'm shy. Like, and he laughs when I say this, but like,
where's the boat to Tarsus?
Yeah, exactly. Mr. Cheesy's Cheese Curls. VeggieTales listeners will understand that. But I tell him, like, you remember me as a camper and even on staff, like, it takes me a minute to get acclimated to like be myself. I'm shy.
Yeah.
So like when God said, you're going to preach, I went, me? Like, no. And so, but there was years before, like all of the waiting.
Yeah.
Like there wasn't a just follow me, hang out with me, and I'll take you where I want to take you. I knew what God wanted me to do. And there were years where I was praying, fasting, serving, doing what I needed to do. And nothing was changing. Nothing was happening.
Yeah.
And what really shifted things for me was just stop worrying about it and have a relationship with me.
Yeah.
And when I did that, things fell into place.
I think a lot of not even just students, but a lot of Christians in general get really discouraged when they don't feel the call, like you say, like God never spoke to me. I don't really know what I'm doing. You know, I know a lot of students that are just in this waiting place, not necessarily at our church, but a lot of students that are just in this waiting place, just waiting on something to happen, and nothing ever happens, and then they just stay stagnant. And and because they're just expecting, and maybe it's just a culture of our church is you have to have this call like to be in ministry, you know, like, but you don't. You just follow God. And that's just so powerful.
Well, we're all called to serve.
Yeah.
You know, and we're called to serve and make disciples.
Yeah.
And, you know, a lot of times, you know, it feels good to have a call or to know some clarity, but even if you're called to preach, you're still called to greet somebody at the door, right? You're still, we know this, you're still called to, you know, work wherever. And as I'm sure it's for you guys in the case in your church is you have ministers who play music.
Yeah.
You know, you have the preachers that play music. You have the ones, you know, that do AV. You don't just have one role, right?
Oh, yeah.
And so we're called to serve. There's a song I loved back in the day, kind of when I was going through the season a little bit. It's called Even While I'm Waiting. I think is the name of it. But I will serve you while I'm waiting.
Mm-hmm.
I will love you while I'm waiting. While I'm waiting for whatever that next step is that season, whether you're waiting to get married, you're waiting to, you know, that call, that door to be open for the call that you knew clearly. Whatever it is, while you're waiting, what are you doing?
Yeah.
You know, like you said, you're growing. You're growing in relationship with God. You're growing in wisdom. You're growing in whatever. If you're called to be a music minister, you're growing in your music ability.
Yeah.
You know, what are you doing while you're waiting for whatever it is that you're waiting for, right? There's long suffering, but you're not suffering, right? In this case, right? You're not suffering. It's just patience.
Yeah.
Right.
And patience is while you're waiting, what are you doing? How are you, you know, carpe diem, seizing the day? And that's where, you know, back in the day, in that season, a lot of the skills that I have in life, you know, for that I may be able to use in the church or whatever it may be, I learned and grew in that waiting season. And I don't have the time for it as much anymore, you know, to do practice music as much, but I did a lot then. And it helped prepare me for being able to bless the church now. And so, you know, whether you received a call or not, serve. Whether you received a call or not, find a gap and fill it. You know, whether
There's
you receive
needs everywhere.
Yeah. And grow and better yourself and prepare.
Yeah.
But they say opportunity is when luck or whatever is when opportunity meets
Preparation.
Yeah. You know, prepare now and let God use you in his time.
Yeah. Yeah, it's cool, man. And it's funny because, like, I look back, I've said this before, when I was a kid waiting for that camp call, you know?
Yeah.
I was like, all right, God, I'll do whatever you want me to do, but I won't sing, and I won't run sound, and I won't preach, but anything else, I won't ride. I don't want to drive people either. I don't want to drive the bus, but whatever else you want me to do, I'm all in. I'll do whatever you want me to do, but I won't do these things. And in that season of waiting, every single thing I said I wasn't going to do, I did a lot.
Yeah.
Like a lot.
God's like, well, you're going to do that actually.
He's like, you're actually
funny.
okay, you're going to do that. It's like I'm saying what I'm not going to do. And he's like, you're going to do this. You're going to do this.
It's funny. That's like the opposite of what a lot of kids will try to push and force a calling. You know, like I know I'm saying that as from personal experience because I remember at West Virginia camp, I was probably in 7th grade or something. And I was just like, in my mind, I'm at the altar and I'm like, yep, God's calling me to be a missionary right now. Like I'm forcing these thoughts in my head and like, yep, that's what I'm called to do. And then I just like, you know, a lot of people force that instead of letting it be natural. But like, that's the opposite of what you were doing.
I remember it was at a junior high camp when I had that burning bush moment.
Yeah.
And it was one of those iconic, if you feel the call of God to be a preacher, run to this platform. And I was like,
And everybody.
everybody else ran, and I was like, nope. And I stayed back. And I prayed. I went to pray on my own in front of the steps.
And that's how we know who's going to be the next preacher.
Yeah.
And I prayed on my own, and I prayed, and I felt that still small voice. And then I think Brother Bounds and Brother Carson both kind of prophesied over me during that altar call of what I was going to do. And it was something along the lines of, you can't imagine yourself doing these things, but you're going to.
Yeah.
And it was like a cool moment because it was like that internal feeling. Like he was like, they were preaching and saying, if you feel called to be a preacher, come to this side. It was one of those things that you probably wouldn't do nowadays, right?
Yeah.
But it was like I'm not going to that side, and I'm not going to that side. I want to be right
sit
here,
right here.
and I'm going to pray right here. And when I was praying, it was like, you should go over there. I'm like, no. And then I prayed, and I'm having this moment with God, and I was like, God, whatever you want me to do. And then they both came from opposite times, and they both said the same thing to me. And it really encouraged
Confirmation.
me. Yeah, it was just confirmation. And I'm like, oh, okay, how is this shy, awkward, uncomfortable person going to do anything like that? How am I going to do a podcast? Like, it's all, my whole life has just been full of that kind of thing.
In your weakness, he is made strong.
Yeah.
Qualifies the called.
Yeah, he does. And so to people out there, it happens all kinds of different ways in all kinds of different seasons. But the answer is to just follow him.
Yeah.
Serve.
Follow him.
Yeah.
Serve. Get involved in your local church. If you're wanting to do more, if you're a new convert, even new converts can get involved in the church.
Yeah.
There's places for everybody. You might not, you might be baptized and repenting. You might not have the Holy Ghost yet. There's still something for you to do in the church.
Yeah.
There's still something to be done. You may not preach, you may not sing in the choir, you may not play an instrument, but there's something to serve. There's somewhere to serve in your church right now.
Yeah.
That is lacking, in every church. And so you want the call of God, you want to go deeper in your relation with God, serve. Follow him and serve. Just find a place to help.
Yeah. He'll lead you.
Yeah.
He'll give clarity. He'll give peace.
Yeah. And so that's cool, man. And a lot of it, looking back, it's funny because it's at Ohio Buckeye Lake campgrounds. That's where it like really solidified for me what I was going to do. And those decisions, we talk about it every year. We have a decision for these students. Make a decision.
Yeah.
Is this your mom and dad making you come to this camp and making you be in the church, or is this your walk with God? Make a decision.
Yeah.
More than a calling, what's more important than the calling is to decide to follow Jesus.
Yeah.
And that's what we push, and that's what we're trying to get people to do, and that's what we're trying to live. And so, it's funny though, because there are thousands of people who've been forever changed by Ohio, the iconic
historic
Buckeye Lake campgrounds, and the historic Alamo Dorm.
Yes.
So many tears have been cried, so many pillow fights have been had, so many energy drinks have been slung, but the call of God has happened.
Here's a thought. Imagine the number of people that got the Holy Ghost through people that have ministers that have come out of Ohio camp.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
Billy Cole's seen over 1 million get the Holy Ghost. He got the Holy Ghost at Ohio Buckeye Lake.
Yep.
That's just one person.
Yeah.
Over 1 million. Like the number of souls won through Ohio camp.
Yeah.
It's insane.
It's an epicenter of apostolic revival.
Yeah. I don't know if you would be able to calculate it.
Yeah.
No. Then the Bible says like we couldn't count the miracles that Jesus actually did while he was here. And it'd be tough to count the callings that were given out at Ohio Buckeye Lake Camp. And so I love camp season, and we're about to head right into that. And so, yeah, dude.
Less than a month.
Yep. We're proud to announce our new show sponsor, Two Clever Fellas. That's right, they do junk removal, yard cleanup, moving services, even Christmas lights. But that's not all. We have a special offer for our listeners today. 20% off on these projects in the summer and this spring. Call Marcus at 330-283-8000 and mention that we sent you and get 20% off. He's here to make life easier for you. So don't wait. Give Marcus a call today. Okay.
Speaking of heading into it, I want to know that.
Yes, we're gonna move on to a new segment, a different segment. Normally, this would be reel of the week.
Yeah.
Right.
But it's old now.
It is. It's
This
kind of
topic is
dated,
old.
but we've kind of saved it.
Yeah,
And
we're
I
gonna
thought of
save
it in a
it.
different way. But you've seen I don't know what you're on social media wise, or, just hearing through podcasts or whatever else you may listen to. But have you heard the trend of 100 men versus one gorilla?
Heard it.
It's like popped off recently, and it's kind of dated now, but it popped off recently of like how many men could take down one full grown silverback gorilla. Like how many could survive? Like here's the deal. There's 100 men and they have reels of like AI generated video of this, of what it might look like if 100 average dudes.
Yeah.
How many of them would it take to take down a full grown silverback gorilla? And
I just need one guy. That's either Nick Roberts or Chuck Norris.
Nick Roberts. Listen, if Fred Parrott and Nick Roberts are in the room with me and those 100 men,
goodness.
I feel like we're in okay shape. Like we have a shot.
That's hilarious.
Fred's a beast.
Yeah. So I guess it heavily depends on can they strategize?
Yeah.
A full grown silverback gorilla can bench press 4,000 pounds.
I think
Wow.
Nick and Fred combined can bench 4,000.
I just want to know how they found that out. They put a gorilla on a bench.
Maybe a gorilla lifted up another gorilla. Yeah. How'd they figure that out? Yeah. I wonder how. But it's crazy. Like, I wouldn't want to be in that camp.
Yeah. The first one is goner.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. There's like a couple of like, how do you lead the charge? All right, go get him.
Yeah.
Like, no, who's going to be the first?
Yeah. Do you do like a circle and then just all collapse at the same
Poke
time?
his eyes out.
So you have to strategize.
Can't see, can't fight.
Yeah. Can't see, can't fight. That's it. We got it. 2. Fred and Nick. Poke his eyes. No, but this topic had me thinking, first of all, I think the gorilla's taken 100 people. Maybe.
Anyways.
But this had me think. It had me thinking, how many junior high campers could take down Nick Roberts?
What would it take to take down Nick Roberts?
We're not allowed to put hands on him. So.
One.
A good answer.
Yeah,
You get to keep your license.
Well, so think about and don't get any ideas, Alamo.
Yeah.
But if the camp, because sometimes we cram a lot of kids in there. So think of the Alamo alone. What did we have last year? Was a bigger year, or 2 years ago? It was a bigger year.
We had 120.
120 in
like
one
the upper room.
in one dorm.
That was the year I was there.
Yeah, 120
That was
in
the
one
year
dorm.
we were up at 3 a.m. looking for.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah,
Looking for something.
looking for something. But if all 120 woke up in the night and decided we're taking the dorm dads down, would we survive? What crew? Like, would our crew survive? How many would we? How long could we hold out? How would the Alamo stand?
Yes.
So I heard. I don't know. This is really your answer, but I just want to add. I heard this topic today. Basically, like, this is the same as how many 7-year-olds.
Oh, I'm taking. So I'm a kindergarten teacher. I'm taking at least 25 down. Easy.
So that's the same with the gorilla.
Yeah.
Because it's like the size different. Yeah. So 100 grown men versus one gorilla would be like you versus 100 7-year-olds.
I'd be nervous against 100.
Yeah. Because, I mean, just...
It's like the same with the campers.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just an avalanche. Avalanche of humans.
Well, the structure of the dorm, it'd be down to strat. We'd have to like be quick on our feet.
I mean,
yeah. It's kind of sad to think about, too, though.
The way they come busting in with fart spray,
dude,
and busting windows out.
Man.
That's
Yeah,
dangerous.
that was a tough year. But we stood strong.
We did.
We held the fort.
Brutal.
Yeah. Yep.
If that's my only memory from Ohio camp, that
it was
fun memory, not spiritual memory. That was pretty fun.
That was a legendary night.
That was awesome.
It was legendary.
They still talk about it.
Are we allowed to tell that story?
I don't think so.
Oh,
No.
Darn.
Something cool happened.
In person.
Yeah.
I'll never admit to it in recording.
Yeah. So I would say
there's a video of kids busting out the window.
Yeah.
Do you have it?
Allegedly.
I have it.
Allegedly.
Allegedly.
But yeah, I think that it'd be tough. We'd have our hands full.
Yeah. I wouldn't want to see that happen.
Especially senior high.
Senior high is trouble.
Yeah. There's some big kids.
Yeah.
What are they feeding them, man?
My goodness.
Good grief. They like got these first form bars
Yeah.
instead of granola bars.
They were raised on them.
They're all taking Nick's advice on working
Oh
out.
yeah.
And Fred.
Man, they're sneaking into our protein.
Yeah, dude. And
They're doing upside down push-ups every morning.
yeah, they're doing cold plunges and upside.
Yeah.
Yeah. You still doing that? You still doing the cold plunge?
Yeah, it's messed up right now. I got to get a new one.
Yeah.
But yeah, just cold showers.
I did the cold shower the other day in preparation for this podcast. I was like, I gotta at least say I did it once. But Nick had all of us doing that.
I
At
did it
camp, it's even better.
for the first week that I was working out.
Don't have a choice.
That's it.
Yeah.
The first week I was working out, I did it after I was done working out. And then my prayer life after that was like insane. It was so good. I was so awake for morning prayer.
Yeah, you're so awake. You
But
take coffee hits.
I couldn't do it again. the second week, I was like, that warm water feels really nice at 3:30 in the
Yeah,
morning.
it does.
Oh wow, 3:30. That's even
a tough
harder.
one. Yeah, that's tough. Yeah, no, I can do I could do a minute and a half, I think, in a cold shower.
Yeah.
Now, do you immediately crank it, or you slowly
Immediately.
acclimate?
I worked up to it, but now you just got to go all in.
Oh,
Just straight to it.
Yeah,
that's rough, man.
But that's what hits the best. That's when you get out, you feel the best.
yeah. And so all of the
So if you're
listening,
listening, just know if you don't have coffee or first form, backbone coffee or first form, there you go. Then you just take a cold shower.
Or you do all three.
yeah, like in the description.
Imagine.
Man, you be seeing sound waves.
What's those 50 push-ups in the morning and the 100 push-ups
Yeah.
every other day at camp. It's funny because in talking about influence, we did it as dorm dads just to kind of offset, we're eating camp food all week, which is great. Like food, it's phenomenal. It's good stuff.
If you want to look like me,
Pack some of these first floor.
yeah, it's good food. I'm not going to hate on the food because
camp
it's a
food.
lot better than a lot of other camps food.
Yeah.
But it lacks in protein.
Yeah. We're not used to eating that at home.
No. And so like normally I'm eating like a bunch of eggs every day and meat and a lot of meat and eggs and first form.
Yeah.
And so to go from that to really starchy and carb heavy meals 4 times a day.
It's hard.
hey, that last one though, at 10 o'clock that's the best one.
Sits heavy. The after service
It
meal.
does. Oof. Yeah. Yeah. So you got to do something. But
Yeah.
we would do these push-ups and we would do the cold shower and we'd get up and do pull-up. We got a pull-up bar and we did some push-ups and stuff. Every few days we do a different exercise. And it's funny because these 12-year-olds would come around the corner and they would just get down and start doing push-ups.
Yeah. Like, how many are you guys doing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they would jump right in. And that's influence, man.
Yeah.
And that's part of that thing that I was saying, like that encouraging, that just lighthearted spirit that, it's not too intimidating. Like, for somebody who's very fit and respected,
Something cool to think about that as well is the future of the organization, the future of Ohio District, the future of global, how many lives that both of you have impacted that are going to be future soul winners and future harvesters, just the number of people filled with the Holy Ghost through ministry of your connections, of lives that you both have touched. I mean, I've seen you both like sit down with kids and just talk them through things and when nobody else will listen to them, So the amount of kids that will be preachers one day, being soul winners, the next Brother Robinette, the Billy Coles, that will look back and say, I remember Nick Roberts and Charlie Griffin.
It's cool. It's cool too because, and we've seen that already. We're seeing the start of it. Like Noah got up and started, and I remember watching him break in the dorm. The back window, we busted it and took his swim time away. You know what I mean? Like no swim time, no wreck. Like we got him. But like he's up there preaching. And it's sweet to see, man.
Yeah.
It's
We're seeing
such
some
quality.
students come back and supervise, which is cool.
That's cool too.
You
Giving back.
supervise them, and then a couple years later, they're there.
Yeah.
Or now they're there supervising.
Yeah. And so that's cool.
Yeah.
But it's cool because that influence, it's, as great as, I'll say it, as great as you are, as respected as you are, you're still approachable.
Thank you.
And these students felt comfortable to get on that dirty dorm floor and start doing push-ups because Nick's doing push-ups, and then I'm like, well, I gotta do push-ups now.
Sorry, Charlie.
Sorry, Charlie.
Guess I'm gonna be fit. Come to Ohio camp. We gotta get a workout program going. But it's been great, man, to serve with you, and we're so glad that you've come on the show and shared your heart and your testimony, and it's been a great experience all around, man. One of our lifetime friends,
Absolutely.
And it's cool to be in this unique transition season.
It's really neat how I'm connected with you again.
Yeah.
So my father-in-law's church was connected with your guys' church, and I was friends with Nate, your brother, first, and just got connected with you guys, and then now full circle, we moved
Same
churches,
section.
and now we're in the organization now, and it's it's so neat, just knowing somebody in the organization, in the section that was there. So
no, that was really cool. I was like, hey, I know you from somewhere.
Somewhere.
You're in Section 1 rally, but I know you from somewhere else.
Yeah, actually the first time I've ever been into any kind of the fantasy football, I don't even do it anymore, but it was Nate's league. I got suckered into that with Carl and Nate. It was fun. It was connection. That was my first connection with UPC in Ohio, and it was it just felt good.
Yeah.
And then I had to have more. So
yeah, right. Came all in.
Yeah.
Those guys are great.
Yeah.
Those guys. That was a good group.
Yeah, it's just neat, full circle kind of.
Yeah, and it's cool. God kind of puts the right people in your life.
Yeah,
and we talked about this with the Millers. Not Nick Miller, John and Matt Miller.
Yeah.
And I haven't had enough caffeine today.
I'm the third brother.
Yeah.
Hey, guys.
But we talked about it with him, that brotherhood, and how God, if God doesn't place the people that you need to help you be who you're supposed to be, he'll move you into that. Mm-hmm. And Matt was moved to here for the brotherhood,
cool
for that.
Story.
It's a cool story.
Go back and listen if you haven't listened.
It's doing well. That's one of our better.
Listen to it until this one comes out.
Yeah. But he moved to have that experience.
Wow.
To have that brotherhood that it lacked, and it's cool because God knows who needs to be in your life. And
absolutely.
And I'm glad you're in the brotherhood, I'm
Man,
glad
I'm
that
thankful.
you're in this circle of friends that I've had and how God's put us all in this spot.
Yeah.
To make an impact and be the best version of ourselves that we can be.
Yeah.
And so,
and it's cool to glean and learn. We talk, we stay up sometimes when we shouldn't after the kids fall asleep and talk, but just about life or ministry or whatever. But even, our kids are similar ages and, sharing things and, hey, this is, helped, or this has been a blessing. And, you go home and you try it and it's hey, it's nice to have that, you're not alone. Other people are going through the same seasons.
Yeah. Yeah. I had a moment where I was like, Nick, I'm writing a book. I was like, did I say that out loud? Cause I had this book in my mind. I was like, I'm going to write a book and I'm going to do a podcast. I'm going to do this. And then I went, oh, I got to go do those things now.
I spoke it.
Yeah, I spoke it. So now I have to go do it.
Yeah.
It did it. It's cool, man.
You guys are killing it. You guys are crushing it.
Yeah. It's been fun. It for sure has been fun. And it's cool because every guest that we have on is a different experience. And it's fun. We have a lot of fishermen listening and a lot of outdoors guys.
Yeah.
Do you have any outdoor bone in you?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So
before we moved to the city, we were in, cows and pastures, right? And so I grew up going camping and fishing, and then we moved to the cement city.
Yeah,
right. And we have Lake Erie,
Edgewater Park.
We're right there. Yeah, and I'm minutes from
smallmouth capital of the world.
Yeah, but I haven't fished since I was a teenager.
Really?
Yeah.
So we go to this place in Paynesville in the fall. We should go.
I
Steelhead.
need to fish. One thing that bothers me about it, and this is probably the worst thing to say on fishing, I hate that you have to get a license to fish.
Oh, we've talked about it. I share the disdain on the rules.
Man, that's just ridiculous.
Yeah.
I can put a rope on a stick with a hook. Why do I need a license?
So there are ways around it, but you can't, if you're on private property.
Yeah,
or if you're a native Indian.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have some enemies, so I need to get my
23andMe.
Yeah, right. Do I have enough to not get a fishing license?
Yeah.
No.
Denied.
Yeah, denied. I felt that way for the longest time. And then and even still sometimes I'm like, what is this money going to?
Yeah.
You know, like where I'd like to see it be to better the environment.
Well, our steelhead in Lake Erie are not native. So
Yeah.
that's where a lot of money goes.
yeah. You know where it's not going to Mogador, and West Branch is not getting enough funding, and all these areas close to us.
Yeah.
But we go to this place in Paynesville to catch steelhead, which, do you like salmon?
Yeah, I love salmon.
So we harvest these fish, and I'll show you a picture after the show, but like giant, and they taste like salmon.
Wow.
And so it's solid.
I need to get some of that for sure.
Yes.
You can catch them now.
Yeah.
Like
But in the fall and spring, you
70
can catch-
feet of water
Yeah.
out there somewhere.
Wow.
Wherever that's at.
Yeah.
But in the fall and stuff, in the winter, you can get them in the creeks and stuff.
Yeah.
In the
Yeah.
tributaries. You can
Salmon's
fish.
one of my favorite.
You would love it. And it's a fun experience.
I have some in the freezer if you want. I'm not going to
Take
eat
one
it.
for the
I'm
road.
so done. I've eaten way too much fish.
Hey, look what I caught while I was out.
What'd you get for going on that podcast? Coffee and fish. I don't know.
This one doesn't sing though. These new batteries.
Yeah.
But we should definitely plan a trip.
Yeah, I need to go fishing. My
'Cause
wife.
it's kind of your backyard where we go. So
yeah, that's not too far.
I
at
told
all.
Greg too. My cousin goes to your church.
Yeah.
and, like it's like a dream fish of his. I'm like, you're 10 minutes away from it. Like, just go get a fishing pole.
Oh my goodness, yeah, walk.
Yeah.
So we'll have to definitely plan it.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
I'm
I
going to
haven't fished in a
Edgewater
long time.
soon. As soon as it's a south wind and it's calm,
Yeah,
I want to go to Edgewater.
yeah, man. Hit me up when you're coming. I'm right on the road.
Yeah. Do it.
Yeah.
We'll make another episode out there.
Yeah.
On the water.
On the water. All right, guys. So we're filming.
Hey,
Yeah.
Lake Erie is dangerous.
Yeah,
man.
it gets real choppy.
I'm real scared of it. So my boat's only 17 and a half, but it's not a deep V. And so I learned to boat with my father-in-law's boat, and we will go out of Lorraine all the time. And it's more comfortable in his boat because it's a deep V. It can handle those waves. But this, man, I'm nervous to take
Yeah.
that boat out. So it's got to be the perfect day.
It can get real choppy real
Yeah.
quick.
Yeah.
It's crazy because some people kayak and stuff and try to go out in big water like that. And I'm like,
I just
why
saw
are
a
you doing
video of a guy launching out of shoot, I forget the name, just west of Sandusky, Port Clinton area.
Yeah.
And they're headed up to Middle Bass to go fish, and he's in a 17-foot boat, and he's like, "Oh, it's perfect, dead, quiet, no waves at all." And they get halfway there, and it just instantly turns on.
Yeah. 20 minutes later.
2 to 3 foot, and they're like, "Okay, we can probably get there, but in the afternoon with more boat traffic, we're not going to be able to get back."
Yeah.
And it's like people don't think that far ahead when they go out. Usually, like most boaters aren't really that experienced.
Yeah.
In my experience now.
Yeah.
And so like that's a dangerous place.
I was
A
sending
lot of
you.
people die up there.
I seen so many reels about Memorial Day boat launch failures.
Oh, those are great.
Oh my gosh, it was so funny. Just somebody's truck is underwater. With
Oh
it.
yeah,
Like,
and they back it in.
Yeah. Go!
Yeah.
Just launch, drop their whole boat.
Meanwhile, I've got a little Ford Maverick.
It
does
does
great.
the job. It does the
All
job.
drive. You just got to put the emergency brake on when you stop.
Yeah.
Just don't leave it in neutral.
Big part is just don't drink alcohol and do this thing. You know,
Right.
that would solve a lot of problems.
Is there a law against drinking and boat driving?
I think there is.
We looked
yeah.
into it because growing up, going fishing, I fished a lot with David Himes. You remember
Yeah.
David? He's been on the show too, but we would go out on his family's pontoon boat a lot, Portage Lakes. There's party boats everywhere.
Yeah.
And it's like, this can't be legal. Like, you can't drive and drink. So, like, why would you be able to boat and drink? And you can't. The law is that if you're driving the boat, if you're piloting the boat, however the right word is to say that is,
Captain.
if you're the captain of the boat, you can't, but your passengers can.
Okay.
So,
Yeah.
I don't know. It still
Hey,
seems wild.
It's dangerous, even in inland lakes with people.
Yeah.
People aren't paying attention.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's low barrier entry. Like, you can just have money and go buy it and then just get out and try. Like,
Well, legally, if you're born after like 82 or 81 or something like that, you have to have a safety course.
yeah. Right.
And a license.
That's the license.
Yeah.
The safety course is the
You want
license.
to fish? License. You want to boat?
That
You
license.
wanna-
Yeah.
You know?
You want a kayak, you got to get it registered.
Yeah.
And it's like, man, can't we do anything for free? Like fun, free things?
Yeah.
No.
Isn't there a thing about like travel, the freedom to travel?
Yeah. But it's funny. But yeah, man, we'll transition. I think we're about at an hour now. Last cast, right? Or do we want to do overrated, underrated?
Let's do a quick overrated,
All right.
underrated. You got something for
Yep,
us?
We'll figure it out. We've talked
right.
about a lot of things. This segment is called overrated, underrated.
Okay.
Is the topic overrated or underrated, or is it just right? Or sometimes it comes into as a question like, would you rather, right? So that's kind of the theme of this. And while we talked about camp season, we talked a little bit about fishing, we talked about the calling of God, we talked about all of these things. Overrated, underrated. We'll go church camp edition.
Ooh.
Church camp, and this will be interesting. And we talked about this a little bit before, and this has evolved over time. This has changed over time of these 14 years of serving and of the 14 years of going to camp. But camp food, is it overrated, underrated, or just right? You know, the mystery meat, the soggy mashed potatoes.
I think just right. I think everybody has about the same opinion.
I think it's underrated.
Really?
It's my favorite part.
Why'd you go to camp? Why were you a camp counselor? Free food.
Free food.
Are you talking about from the after meal, or are you talking about
The after meal is legit.
Yeah.
I think. Well,
I'm
most times.
going like the dining hall.
The dining hall
food.
experience.
That's mid.
It could be some. We need to move.
But
that mission.
the mozzarella sticks and all that stuff, like, and then like the main food
concession
after.
food.
Yeah. I think it's just right. I think
I think.
the opinions I've heard, I think they're accurate.
I think some people just want to hate it, but it's good.
Yeah.
I think it's good.
Yeah.
I think it's just
We
right.
need something to talk about.
Yeah. Yeah. Can't all be when. Listen, when they're bringing in Raising Cane's, how are you complaining? You
Right?
know, like,
I
why
mean,
are you
chicken
complaining?
protein. Let's go.
Yeah. It's when it's in the salad the next morning. That's when it's like,
That's hilarious. But the reused
but
food.
it's great. I think it's just right. Now we've experienced this as campers, and we've experienced this as
You
supervisors.
guys are gonna have Backbone coffee there this year.
We will.
for the staff meeting.
They hook us up. Backbone's
let's go.
legit. Did you drink coffee?
No.
No. Does your wife?
Yes.
Okay, I'm gonna give you a bag.
Okay.
They're solid. Backbone's solid,
Thank
and it's a newer brand.
Thank you.
Yes, Backbone's great, and they've hooked us up. And Cam's been great to us, and good supporter of the show.
That's cool.
But camp coffee is sometimes rough, so I'm bringing some Backbone with us, and Fred will appreciate that, I'm sure, and others that are serving. But this next part, we've kind of seen this growing up. You know, and we've had to tell some students, it's midnight, buddy. You don't have to we're going to pray tomorrow at camp.
Yeah.
But these late night or early morning devotions at camp,
Yeah.
is it overrated or underrated? It's always one of those things where it's like, do you let them follow and take away their sleep? Do you let them keep praying? Or do you calm it down and be like, hey, you need sleep. You actually need to sleep.
Yeah.
And so you know what I mean? It's a touchy one, but it's like, this kid's speaking in tongues right now. Do we stop him?
Well, the Bible says that it's in the what's the word? The Spirit. We have control.
Yeah,
I forget the word that it uses, but no. The Bible also says we need to rest.
Yes,
and so
it's cool because I think that it seems to always be junior high. Somebody gets ultra filled.
They're in that really emotional phase. Everything's changing.
Yeah.
So they're more susceptible to, and there's less knowledge and wisdom.
And there's less phone and video and Fortnite and video games and all this stuff. And so they get this supercharge of the Spirit. And it's like, yeah, but you got to go to bed, bud.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Now here's the rest that causes the weary to rest. Take part.
Yes. Hey, I'm super glad that God's touching you, but I got to get more than an hour of sleep tonight. Go to bed.
Yeah. There's more where that came from.
Yeah. So those late night devotions or early morning devotions, hey, it's all good for me. Like, just do it quietly in your mind.
Yeah.
And don't interrupt my sleep.
Yeah. Talk to the Lord in your head.
You know, God can speak in dreams.
Yes.
So,
there you go.
That's what I try to say.
Lay down, Joseph.
He'll talk to you more in your dreams. Go to bed.
Yeah.
All right. This next one's, we alluded to a few of these that we couldn't delve into all of the details on, but the camp wars, the camp pranks, overrated, underrated, necessary, unnecessary, right.
The last couple of years, it's underrated. It's hard if you weren't there for it. It's hard to fully tell the story.
Yeah,
because so many magical things happened in and through different different ones. So I'll say underrated. I'll say underrated.
Yeah. I think it makes the experience so much better.
It is an experiment.
Yeah. They need to ease off the experiments.
Yeah.
Like we don't need any concoctions.
Yeah.
Leave the fart spray at home. Let's do something original this year. you know?
I will say after that, the fart spray year that will go unnamed or untold, I had parents come up and thank me. Multiple. Like, thank you so much. My kids loved it. Like, I was shocked.
Yeah.
You know, I
were
heard
waiting
some
for
complaints.
I can't believe you let them.
Yeah. No, but literally, like, this is like, these are the epic camp things. When you think about camp, thank you guys so much for doing it. I'm like, it just kind of happened, but you're welcome.
Yeah. I didn't do anything.
Yeah. We might have allowed it, but we didn't organize that.
I will say, I just spent the weekend ministering with Josh Phillips in West Virginia.
Oh, okay.
And he was telling
Josh Phillips is fantastic.
He was telling the story how like he was in the other dorm.
Yeah.
And he's like the whole like girls dorm was stunk out because they
opened all of the doors and were blowing fans out. And then right next to it is the girls' dorms and their ACs were sucking it in.
So everywhere got blasted.
Yeah. But the Alamo was not downwind.
That right there, just knowing that everybody but Alamo got blasted.
It was a 3-for-1.
Is epic.
I always bring the
that is a movie.
I said so many magical things happened that we couldn't have planned.
And the Alamo is remembered. But I have every year. It's the reason I bring the car the little tree air fresheners, and I put it on the bunk just to avoid the precaution.
Charlie brings his own tree.
Just each corner gets a tree. We will not be smelling the fart spray or the Axe cologne and tag and all that things. Just
that's a memory that you'll never forget.
Yeah, that was incredible.
That's every district.
It is underrated. Within reason, though. Like, don't take there's always the one kid who's like, I punched him in the face. No.
Oh, so there's the line.
Oh, hey, we found the line. Let's not ever do that.
Yeah.
You know? And so maybe if we did it in a way where like, let's lay out the parameters of this. What is acceptable and what is not. Remember the Pada video? We need a Camp Wars video.
Yeah.
What's acceptable? What's not? Then the video could be played of the alleged glass breaking. Not acceptable. But I think it's
don't
do that. Thank you, Brother Tom Ellis. But it's a big part of camp. I think underrated.
Yeah,
for sure.
So we have a new thing, the War for Buckeye Lake. Battle for Buckeye Lake. Yeah. And so that took place of tribe wars. I think that just gets better every year.
Yeah. Brother Wilson's fantastic.
He does a great job.
He's so good.
Does a great job. And so, man. And we'll just end this one on camp in general. And we all know the answer to this. Is it overrated or underrated? Would you send your kids to Ohio Buckeye Lake Camp?
Underrated. Gotta send them.
Underrated.
Yeah.
We talked about it. We talked it up all an hour and 15 minutes. We've been talking about how much this has changed our lives. And how many people this has affected. And lives have changed. The kingdom has been influenced mightily through this historic place, this iconic place. And so I'm grateful for it. It's definitely future, underrated.
Generations to come.
Yes. All right.
Even if it's not at that spot.
Yes.
It'll still be Ohio Camp.
I kind of hope it stays forever.
Yeah.
I think it will.
It just gets better. Let's just, in time. But let's do last cast. Anything else you want to say, Brother Sean?
No, I'll give it to Nick.
Nick, got anything else you want our listeners to know?
Last cast.
Last cast is kind of our just last thing that
final thoughts. Yeah.
Final thoughts. If you haven't been to Buckeye Lake, Ohio Youth Camp, Ohio Family Camp, any of the kids camps, gotta go. But no, man, I'm excited for you guys, man. This is fantastic. It's a lot of people talk about doing things and don't do them. And so I think it's fantastic that you guys are doing it. We haven't, for the longest time, there wasn't as much apostolic content out there. Mm-hmm. And I'm not even just saying biblical, but just apostolic voices. Mm-hmm. And so I think it's cool that you guys are doing this and creating an opportunity for content from apostolic point of view. Mm-hmm. So I think, this is super cool, super exciting. You wrote a book, you guys are doing podcasts, you're on social medias. Who knows where this goes. And so I think, I pray God blesses it. I'm excited for you guys. And I think it's a great example to the future generations, to show them, hey, when you feel something, if you have a dream, go for it, do it. Who knows where it'll go from there.
Yeah.
I mean, you guys are already sponsored. You haven't even been in it a year. Like, that's super cool.
Yeah. It's really unheard of.
32 episodes in, 31 episodes,
31,
32, something like that.
So
you guys have scaled up, and you have social medias. I think are you doing like reels and stuff like that already? Like, that's super cool. And so I think there needs to be more of that. And I think you guys are, in Ohio, you guys are paving the way. I know, shout out to the Fruitful Vine podcast, our boy Tyler.
Yeah.
An Alamo OG.
Yeah.
Him, Brother Urshan. There's one or two in Ohio, but I think it's great. So I'm excited for what God's going to do through it. How God's going to bless you guys, through it as well. And so if you guys out there have a dream, have something God put on your heart, go for it. Do it. Jump in and see where God takes you. Follow God, even if you haven't received that call, that clear call for a ministry. Just follow Him, make disciples, and see where God takes you.
Awesome.
God bless y'all.
Like, comment, and subscribe.